So, like, if this is what the Commanders, are we still going with Commanders?
Word on the street is it's going to change. Friend of the program, Stanford Steve, texted me earlier today. He got odds. He got odds on a name change, and apparently it's minus 450 that they're going to change the team name.
Wow.
So that's a lot better than I thought. Because I hate the Commanders.
The Commanders is terrible.
It's such a bad name. Dan Snyder changed the name, and regardless of what anybody else told him to name the team, he was going to name them the Commanders because he wants to court like the military contractors and ex-military guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, the NFL has deputized itself as another branch of the military at this point. So he wants to lean into that and say, okay, yeah, we're the most militaristic team in the NFL. He thought that would translate into an upswelling of local support around the team. And we're like, no, this is stupid.
This is stolen valor.
It is.
I mean,
his entire
really
franchise of stolen valor
valor
is what he did. So I'm glad that it seems like they're going to be changing the team name. And so I'm going to pull up the odds real quick here if I can find the text. Here we go. Minus 400 that they will change the team name. So that's 1-4 odds, plus 250 that they won't change it. And the betting favorite right now is the Spartans.
No, don't. No.
That would be the dumbest shit.
Because of Magic, right? Magic's involvement. Is that why?
I hadn't thought about that. At least there's a connection there. I thought that it was.
But I mean, that's not. There's no. That would be the most uncool thing Magic Johnson could possibly do is like become the owner of this football team and then say, I'm going to name them after. I'm going to use my influence to name them after. Yeah, it's stupid.
That would be lame.
I hate that.
I agree with that. And the Spartans, you remember when the Raptors gave themselves the name the Raptors, and it was because Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
This is what you would do if you named a football team in like 2002 when 300 was
right. Yeah.
We're just like 20 years late to the 300.
The Washington Barbenheimers.
That's
right.
Or just the Washington Barbies.
The Washington Barbies.
Neon clothes and shit. Yeah. I've always said that there needs to be a team named the Orcas or the Killer Whales.
That's great.
Just because the uniform scheme that you could get if you dressed them up like orcas.
That's
awesome.
That's awesome.
Probably not for Washington, though. I feel like that's more of a Seattle thing.
Yeah.
The football team is 7-1, so they're the second favorite.
Football team, I loved football team.
Yeah.
I love football team from the start. I still think that if they had been called the football team for the last 100 years, we would think that's like one of the coolest. If they were called the football team and also had success, I should say that, because that's the difference between like things that are cool and not cool. It's just like simply, are you good? And if the Washington football team had won like 6 Super Bowls over the last 80 years, everyone would think that's the coolest thing ever. Is that we don't need gimmicks, we don't need mascots, we don't need, and they have like jerseys that are like Alabama or Penn State, just boring ass. But we're here to play football, goddammit. We're not here to like put on this dog and pony show.
I don't need a cartoon bird telling me to cheer louder. You know, like we're a football team. Our mascot, their mascot should be a football.
Just literally a football with arms and legs.
Yeah. We had Triggs design a football when they announced the rebrand of the football team. We told him just make a muscular football. So he drew a football with these big swole biceps that was pissed off and had eye black on.
Yeah.
It's a great mascot.
It's very, very cool. One of the things that I learned from the Commanders and other expansion teams, whenever not the Commanders expansion team, but whenever expansion teams in any sport come out, you realize quickly that every professional sports team name in this country is kind of stupid. Yeah. It's kind of stupid. The Green Bay Packers is a stupid name. If you really stop and think about it. If
the Green Bay Packers came out now,
you'd be like, Packers?
We're meat packing?
Yeah, like what? I mean, Steelers? What? Come on, what are we doing here? But because, like I said, like if you win, and
New York Jets probably wouldn't work out.
New York Jets would be a horrendous
terrible name for Sully because of the Sully thing.
Right, exactly.
New York Giants would be awful.
Absolutely.
If a team came out in 2023 and said, "Okay, we are the New York Giants," give me a break.
So I think you have to like kind of think through that as like there kind of are no good options. That's why I think I love football team, because I was like, no matter what you land on, you're gonna like sit there and chew on it for a little bit and be like, I don't know, Spartans, like what is it? But what's your favorite? What's the one?
I like football team. I like football team a lot. I also like Hogs or the Red Hogs.
Hogs is good
because there's a tie-in to back when the team was good. You could do a lot of fun stuff with a pissed off like barnyard. Like what was it, like a wild boar almost?
Yeah.
Or like, you remember those toys you used to play with as kids, or at least I did, Barnyard Warriors?
Oh yeah.
There were pigs that had the bazookas and shit on them.
Right.
That would be cool.
How cartoony do we want the logo though? Like is it like a almost I think that's the question you got to like that's where I'm at with Hogs sounds cool, but I need to see, cuz like Arkansas Razorbacks. Their nickname's kind of the Hogs. I think they have some cool logo. Like the Razorback looks cool on the side of the football.
Yeah,
helmet.
the actual Razorback,
Yeah.
the animal. So with DC, I think it would probably be a little bit more cartoony.
Like if it's Porky Pig, I don't know if I don't know.
Back in like the 80s and 90s when we had that awesome offensive line, there were guys that used to get dressed up on Sundays to go to the games. The Hogettes.
Yeah.
The premise behind this was they were the wives of the football players, which is totally don't question it. It's manly as fuck to get dressed up as your favorite player's wife and then go to a game and cheer for him. And they would wear dresses.
I remember seeing the Ben Shapiro rant on those guys. I remember. I remember back in the day when he did that. Yeah.
Those guys rocked. It was like fat guys with mustaches that would put on these hog noses and these big flowy dresses, and they go cheer for the team. And somehow it worked. Somehow it all worked. So I think when you think about the Hogs, you think about those guys too,
right?
With the pig noses that they put on their faces. So it would have to be a little bit cartoony, but I don't know. I like the idea of that just because it's tied in. Then as an aviation fan, I'm a fan of the Red Tails, which is I think a World War II squadron of fighter pilots. I think they were the first African American fighter.
That's cool.
Fighter squadron. That would be cool. Anything.
But the problem with that is I think everyone's just going to call them Redskins. It's going to be like too close to where it's going to take a while. Like, because you're going to say red, and then like there's going to be a lot of commentators that are talking about the team, and they're like, and of course, let's welcome the Washington Redskins. Shoot, did I just say that? I'm sorry. I can't believe I said that. Sorry, America. I meant Red Tails. I feel like there would be like a season or two of that. That still happens with the Chargers.
Yeah.
They call them the San Diego Chargers. But
I wouldn't mind Red Tails. There's a bunch of really shitty names on this list. The Owls, the Washington Owls. I guess Owls are kind of cool, but
like, what's the connection?
The Washington Magic is 9-1. And as bad as that would be, the second choice. So it's Magic / Magicians. I almost want them to be the Washington Magicians, just because that is the worst. I think that's worse than the Commanders. There's nothing less cool than a magician, right?
Yeah, you're kind of right.
You can't do anything good with that.
You're kind of right.
But Red Hogs is also on there. Washington Monuments would be trash, and then they actually have the Washington Redskins at 50-1
to bring it back.
Bring it back. We're saying it again. We're saying it again.
That would be something, dude.
It would be.
That would be.
It would be a move that Dan Snyder would do.
Dan Snyder would do that, yeah.
But you can't go back.
I don't think you can.
Because there was one time when you saw. Originally, he was saying, "I'll never change the name," and you can print that in all caps.
Yeah,
it will never be changed. And then his co-investors in the team, some of the minority owners, they said, "Well, we want out. We want to sell our share of the team because we don't want to do business with you anymore unless you change the team name." I think FedEx had something to do with that. Maybe Pepsi. He was going to lose a lot of money. So his response to that was, "Okay, in that case, I will commission a study to determine whether or not the name Redskins is offensive or not." And it would have been hilarious if he had come back and been like, "Results of the study are in. Redskins is a good name."
I asked him.
Turns out it's not offensive. Like if you commission a study to study that, you can't say that we didn't find anything.
Right. I went to the bar around the corner and asked all the white people there, "Are you offended by the name?" And they were like, "No."
Mark, but a lot of those white people had Cherokee blood.
That's true.
So from their great grandmother. Which is something I think everybody's sold.
Well, yeah. How do you handle that if that would be a weird one, but it would be on brand. It would be on. I'm trying to think of like a scenario where somehow that term is deemed inoffensive, like where.
You could say potato. People have been saying potato for years and years. Deal. But yeah, it's tough because it's a name that a lot of people grew up rooting for. Yeah. Not understand, like it was the name of the football team,
right?
And there's a lot of memories that are tied into that name, and you don't stop and think every time you say it. Okay, well maybe there's some people out here that don't like it. It's nostalgia. It's like the team was good when they were called for the most part, and there's a lot that's tied in with that. And then there's also it's tough, man, because there's studies that come out. Like the Washington Post did a study that said 90% of Native Americans don't find the term offensive.
Oh, really?
And you don't know. Each study varies. It's varied between like 40 and 90%. And it's one thing to say, oh well, 90% of them don't find it offensive. But if like I've talked to Native Americans that have told me like straight up, this is a slur.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to tell them? Well, actually,
it's not. If you
9
look
out
at
of
this,
10, 9 out of 10 would disagree with you.
Have you seen this study though?
Yeah. Let me show you this.
Let me show you this.
You don't get the Washington Post. That's
where you're wrong. But there is hope for the first time. Since when? When was the last time you were
RG3.
excited as a fan?
RG3, yeah.